All right, welcome back. It is episode 3 of the Braden and Nolan podcast.
Today is today is June 5th,
2025.
Glad you're here.
Okay, where do we find ourselves today, Nolan?
Oh, yes. So the set, we hope to change the set every time, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. Part of our idea for the podcast that will keep it semi-interesting. Mm-hmm. Let's describe it for the audio listeners.
Yeah, sure.
The audio listeners.
Yeah. Well, we are in a room. It is completely, is this white or cream color?
Oh, it's just dirty right now, honestly. So
I guess you're probably better at explaining it than I am.
Yeah, yes. No, we're in my living room in our house. So we purchased this house about a year ago, and it was a super big project. So we got nice hardwood floors. So we took up all of the old laminate, all of the subfloor, we re-sanded down. And actually, it was such an issue, there was some damaged boards and things, and so we literally tore up our kitchen floor and puzzle pieced it all back together. It took so long, super tedious, a lot of splinters, but yeah, so we finally got it going. But we're in our living room. It's a cozy little space, but our house is not finished, not even remotely. So it's still a work in progress. And we don't have a ton of furniture right now. So if you see the blue lines here, maybe we'll do something with it later.
Yeah, I don't actually think you can see the blue lines on the camera angle.
Anyways.
Yeah.
There's a mini hoop over the door frame.
You can't see the mini hoop.
Yeah, to my left, probably your right, unless it mirrors. I don't know.
It would be their right, should be.
Should be your right. And yeah, we just get to... because we're in the remodeling phase, there's not a ton of furniture. You don't have nice things that you can break necessarily. So I was like, wife, please let me just put in a mini basketball hoop court in our living room. So that is what she let me do.
Dang it! Oh! There it is.
Last week. And so I taped out all the lines. We have 8.5 foot 3-point lines, a 6 foot free throw line. It's pretty legit. I've played a few games in here. It does get quite sweaty. It's getting hot out right now.
Yeah. I mean, it's already a little toasty in here. I think the light is helping that.
Feel like a lizard.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. A bearded dragon.
Yeah. Well, the lighting situation is what it is. And it's going to get better as the sun goes down. From the viewer perspective.
Right.
And it'll get cooler probably too.
Exactly.
And we should also address the blankets all over the place.
If you see blankets, we are not hosting a homeless clinic here, unfortunately.
Right. Yeah.
This was mostly for sound because there's so minimal things in here. The sound was just bouncing off these blank walls.
Super echoey.
Yeah.
It's a little bit better now.
So hopefully it's better. We also recognized last episode's audio was a little bit low, so we're trying to remedy some of these things.
Yes. So. That was partly just the way that I exported the video, and it was mostly that.
Yeah.
And we're going to try and keep the mics at a consistent distance from our mouths as well.
Yeah.
So
keep giving us feedback.
Yes.
One of the feedback that I got from my wife and others was the unflattering angle of the. It was very crotch forward.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Very crotch focused, crotch forward.
Yeah.
We'll try to be more modest in the future.
I just get a screenshot from my wife. I send her the podcast. I'm like, take a listen, let me know how many booms. And then she's like,
Yeah.
just sends me a screenshot. Just like 2 minutes later, she's like, and it just says the crotch pod, and it's just like just me spread eagle on that like weird couch like thing in your basement.
Yeah, which is a great segue. The crotch pod would be a really funny name.
Yeah, true.
Good segue into the other thing.
If we always did an angle like right from here, eventually we do like, in the corner like gamer cams. You're on one side, I'm on the other.
Yeah, I think that would be insane. We probably shouldn't do that.
No.
But that is really funny.
That is an option, though.
It is an option for sure. So some other feedback we got is that Braden and Nolan podcast is not a good name. That was never the intention to be the name of the podcast. That's the working title. As we mentioned, we'd really like to be in a different spot every time, or at least never do the same one in a row. And so I think a cool title could be the Anywhere Podcast, or calling it Anytime Anywhere. But yeah, I kind of like that as a name. I was looking it up and it didn't seem like there was any podcasts with like many similar things, because that's also something to think about. But we would like to know what you guys think, so leave a comment in the comments down below.
Yeah, I like that idea. We had talked about it before, and part of it was like, my first idea was like, what if we could like get like little portable mics, and like we go to an amusement park, and every time we're in line, we just start recording.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as it's not awkward for the people around us or whatever. Also, when we were dreaming up the idea of this podcast, we were at an Applebee's, and we're like, what if we do an episode at the Applebee's?
Yeah.
And you just kind of can talk about your surroundings. Currently,
which I still would like to happen.
Yeah. The first 2 episodes, and then this one now, we are pretty isolated.
Yeah.
But I think it could be fun to have something that's like active but not overstimulating.
Right. And not trying to be a nuisance to the people around us.
Right. Yeah.
Which we're just 2 guys talking, so
it
shouldn't necessarily be that much of a nuisance.
Yeah. We don't want to be those people
or something.
We don't want to be those people like doing TikToks like on the field of Sean Taylor's memorial. Like we don't want to be setting up our ring light and just yapping.
Uncontrollably.
Right. Yeah. Today we're at my uncle's funeral.
Yeah, that's funny.
No, it's not.
Well, yeah. Your uncle didn't recently die, did he?
No, no. All my uncles are alive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so am I. So leave a comment. What do you think the name should be? We've gotten some suggestions already. We also would love to have a thing to call the viewers. So I thought of the Muppets would be funny, because that was something we talked about in the first episode. I think that's trademarked though.
That's true.
Not that it matters.
Yeah.
Like, Muppet is an actual thing. Like, it's not just a trademark name.
Yeah.
Because Elmo is a Muppet. He's not a puppet. He's a Muppet.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So he's in the same universe as, we can get an Elmo. Have we gotten an Elmo Kermit collab before?
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen that.
Well, Kermit originally started on Sesame Street.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You're really dropping the lore on me right now.
Oh, yeah. Which, we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
But leave a comment down below what you think you should be called.
Yeah.
Speaking of Kermit, are we moving too quickly here?
No, I think we're fine. I think it's good to mix it up, keep the pace moving.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we talked actually the first episode, but the last recording session about how Kermit the Frog was giving the commencement speech for the graduating class of 2024.
5. Summer of 2024.
Summer of 2024. Winter of 2024.
Yeah.
Give it up for those graduates!
Yeah. Yes. We watched it, a little bit of it, or we were watching as we were setting up the podcast today. Kermit the Frog. And yeah, I liked it. Again, I'm a huge Muppet fan. So like the whole thing is great for me.
Yeah.
Nolan has brought up the point that maybe you would like somebody different.
Yeah, no, it was just funny. I think I was like, is there anyone else?
Yeah.
The speech wasn't that good. I think from like an encouragement standpoint, I love Kermit. I think he's great. But it was just funny. But there was like people in the crowd, they had like little like Kermit things, and like I think the graduates had a good time with it.
Yes, and I think like they were showing shots to the crowd, and it looked like people were having a good time. Yeah, enjoying it for sure.
Which I think, if I was graduating, maybe I would just want to have more of like a good time, a funny time, something very memorable.
Right.
If you had a really like moving speech that like brought people to tears, but like it wasn't like an iconic person, you would probably forget that speech entirely.
Sure.
But these people will never forget Kermit the Frog giving the speech. And we talked about last episode, Jim Henson.
Yeah. Is dead. Yeah.
Still.
Yes, he still is.
Yeah, we checked in. No updates on Jim Henson's status.
Still dead, Jimothy.
Yeah.
As Kermit said in the commencement today.
Yeah, but it was like, I think it was also like a memorial to Jim Henson and like his character and like him being an alumni there. Kermit, and I quote, said at one point, Jim Henson had a hand in everything I did.
Those first couple of years.
A hand in every single thing I did. His hand was up in me, man.
Which got some giggles.
Yeah, it did. I will say the humor was good.
Yeah.
I thought it was like a little bit on the nose.
Because he also said something about his nose.
He did. Yeah. He was like talking about the statue that we talked about as well. Yes. You rub the big turpin for its nose for good luck, and it's shiny. And he was like, there's a statue of me here as well, but don't rub my nose. Unless you're a fly, then do. Lunchtime.
Pretty funny.
Yeah, it was funny. Yeah. I think maybe
just like Muppet humor.
The crowd noise maybe had to be like boosted a little bit.
Yeah.
Because it sounded like none of the jokes landed. It sounded like a bomb of a set.
Yes. It was funny because that's what it sounded like, and then you would see the crowd and they would be like,
yeah.
It looked like they were definitely enjoying themselves.
They were. Yeah. It was like chicken jockey up in there.
All right. Yeah. It was, yeah. What was else? Oh, and so like he was also doing like talking points that are like classic Muppet things. I think, because one of the things that he said was dreams are how we figure out what we want to do, and then life is like the act of doing it or getting there. Something to that effect. Which I'm pretty sure I've heard from the Muppets before, or since this commencement speech went, and that's what I'm thinking of. But either way, yeah, which is a good quote.
Yeah. Other things, a lot of frog puns. A lot of leap, taking the next big leap.
Was the main talking point, yes.
Mm-hmm. How about your brother next to you? There's that. They also, Kermit, shouted out each and, almost all of the Muppet characters as well. Yes. Brought them up. And I don't know if they showed them on screen in the YouTube edit we were watching or video. It, showed them all on screen, Miss Piggy and Animal and making jokes about all of them.
Yes. Which, the Miss Piggy one was funny. I always love Kermit's Miss Piggy humor. And it was something to the effect of hogging the spotlight. And he was like, I'm going to be in trouble for that one later. Or we're gonna be. That's my Kermit impression.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be in trouble for that one later.
That was good.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. The first attempt was not good.
Yeah. You kind of
It
have
was
to
almost
hear
Yoda.
it
Yeah.
before you do any impersonations.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like I'm not bad at impersonations.
Yeah.
But like if I don't hear it first, I'm gonna struggle so much. You know what I mean?
I would tend to agree.
And then any voice turns into a different voice, and like usually it's
Right.
like Australian or British.
Yeah.
But like you'll start like starting to go Irish,
Mm-hmm.
and even that, like, yeah, I would have to hear it. Like I gotta get a video of a leprechaun going, and
Right.
then I can take it from there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Kermit, love him. I've been getting a lot more Muppet content on my I haven't been on Instagram Reels much this past week because our camp started. That's also why I'm looking a little bit more raggedy. I guess I didn't look all that tip-top shape last time we recorded anyways. But I have dirt all over my legs and my hair is not the most voluptuous.
You have a hat on, to be fair.
I have a hat on.
I think you still look cute.
Thanks, buddy. But yeah, so I haven't been on my phone much, but the reels that I've been consuming since Instagram reels that I've been consuming since our last episode have been very Muppet themed, and yeah, which I wanted to talk about a little bit as well. They are getting rid of the Muppet section at Disney World. I forget if we talked about this. Did we talk about this last episode?
No, I don't remember it.
Yeah, so they're getting rid of the Muppet section at Disney World, which is it's sad, very sad. It was I've gone to Disney World twice. Once when I was 5 and once when I turned 12. I turned 12 at Disney World, which was pretty cool. And when I turned 12, I was in the Muppets then. And I have a picture of me. I had a cane for some reason, and I was standing there with the cane, or maybe I didn't have the cane. I was just pretending to have the cane. In front of there's a big Kermit the Frog at the Muppet section of the park, and I was standing in front of it, and it was a really cool section of the park. It's what I'm definitely one of the things that I remember the most from that trip. But the is there music going on? Am I hearing music?
I think somebody's car.
Oh, okay, sorry. Yes, they're getting rid of the Muppet section of the park, which is strange and interesting because there was a stipulation in Jim Henson's contract with him signing the rights over to Disney that I think it was. I don't know how it all worked out.
He's not doing a lot of contract negotiations anymore, though.
Right. I should have researched more about this because I know about this, but I remember I had looked into this before, but that was a long time ago, and I should have looked into it more. But Jim Henson, when he signed over the contract, or the Muppets, to Disney, one of the stipulations of them continuing to be able to own the IP is keeping Muppets Fanavision 3D whatever ride or thing that they have at Disney, keeping that in there. If they get rid of it, then they have to I don't know, sell the IP or whatever. I forget how it works. But yeah, so I don't know what's going to happen with that because they are getting rid of the Fanavision. I keep seeing posts from Disney people on Instagram Reels being "Oh, we're leaving. This is our last time. This is us saying goodbye to the Muppets." And then they put the sad Muppets music over top of it, and it really gets me every time. Every time I'm and there's this thing where they're keep believing, keep pretending. Yeah. And it's very sad because Muppets hold a special place in my heart. That's my childhood.
Yeah.
So It's sad, but yeah, I don't know. It's funny too because what people keep saying in like the comments and all that is like they are getting rid of the Muppets and like they're for corporate greed, which is like the plot of the 2011 Muppets movie.
Yeah.
Which is really funny.
So, oh my goodness, what if it's a big like hoax, and then they're gonna have the Muppets come in and have a huge fundraiser and save it?
That would be kind of cool.
That'd be funny.
That would be funny. I also don't think that's gonna happen because like I haven't heard anything about it except for like people talking about it. Like it's not like Disney's making a big thing about it, but that would be really cool though.
Yeah. If they are playing the long game and that's the plan, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But if not, then come on, Disney.
Sad. Come on, Disney. What are we doing?
Corporate greed.
Corporate greed. Sucks.
Am I a man? Or am I a Muppet?
Am I a Muppet?
If I'm a Muppet, I'm a very manly Muppet.
Very manly Muppet.
Do you think you were more or less Muppety on your 12th birthday at Disney than you are now?
More.
You were more Muppety back in the
Yeah.
day? Just like a baby hippopotamus?
Yeah. You should see some video of me from that trip.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting.
I do think people with buzzed hair feel more Muppety.
Yeah.
I've seen pictures of you, and I would agree. I didn't know you back then, so I don't know your mannerisms.
Right.
But
to my knowledge, they were pretty Muppety.
yeah.
Muppet-like. And I think that was probably somewhat intentional back then because I was a big Muppet fan.
Yeah.
What you consume is what you put out.
Right.
So, yeah, I think I was pretty Muppety back then. But, yeah, there's video of me, like, we were at the one park until, like, 1 a.m. And we shut the one park down. It was pretty cool. And, like, we were riding the one ride, like, me and my dad. There wasn't a line for it, so they let us just, like, keep going on the ride until it was
That is
over.
the best.
It was so sick. We went on it, like, 16 times in a row, I think.
Wow.
Yeah. And I forget, it was like some like old Western style train ride thing. And it was pretty good. It was super fun. But yeah, we were there till like 1 a.m. And I was like, I think my dad has some videos of it on our old camcorder or his phone or whatever. And
Nokia.
yeah. I don't know. And of us like leaving, and I'm like walking like real strong, and like my sister and my parents are like they're like tired because it's like 1 a.m. and like I'm like saying goodbye to all the, as they call them, cast members, like the workers at Disney
Right.
World. And then we were taking a ferry back to the thing, and like it was my like either first or second time, I guess, that day on a ferry. Or I think first time on a ferry, second time that day. And I'm like running up and down the ferry, like looking over, and like I had a bunch of energy. So I was thinking classic 12-year-old
Yeah.
with like, yeah.
That made me think of something. If you know Hershey Park,
Yeah.
Hershey's Chocolate has a theme park, a
Chocolate
amusement
World.
park, and like has tons of roller coasters, all these things.
Mhm.
They have like
Oh, yes.
2 wooden roller coasters that go right next to each other. It's like one ride, but it's
Yes.
thunder and lightning,
Yes.
right? I had that similar experience where like you could just run and
yeah?
just like, or sometimes they would just let you stay on
Yeah.
if there's nobody in line, then you
Mhm.
don't have to run the line. But me and a friend, actually Kenny, the friend who ripped my clover.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
We-
awesome. Callback.
Yeah, we rode this 12 consecutive times, and I think we won 9 in a row. I was like, it was
Wow.
a cheat code. And there's so many people that are like, because it is kind of like, it seems random, and they're like, I think the operator picks who wins. And then
Mhm.
other people are like, no, I think it's whoever's the heaviest.
Mhm.
Or like,
Yeah.
or some people think it's luck. But anyways, that day, we won 9 in a row.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I wouldn't surprise me if it is the operator and he was trying to give you guys the best night of your lives or
Yeah.
day of your lives.
Yeah, we were probably going crazy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember about how old?
Probably like 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's prime age to get
Yeah.
special treatment for
Mhm.
being that age. Yeah. So that's cool.
It's fun. Like at some points, like the coasters will be like close to each other, and people
Mhm.
are like, "You're going down. You're going down.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're gonna beat you."
Yes.
It's very
I've
funny.
been on the ride. It's awesome.
Yeah.
If you've never been on it, get there. It's pretty cool. Hershey Park.
Soon we will film a podcast on the Lightning Racers.
Yes. At Hershey Park.
I'll be on Thunder. You can be on Light, or whichever
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
We'll rock paper scissors for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That would be fun. Yeah, Hershey Park's cool. Yeah, Hershey in general is an interesting place. Like,
The sweetest place on earth.
yeah, and it's like Hershey's is like global. Like,
You don't realize because we
Right.
live semi-close.
Yeah.
You think it's local.
yeah, it's not. It's global,
Yeah.
which is very cool. And it's just funny too that like, well, it's Hershey's. The chocolate bar is like named after Milton Hershey, and I guess the county is
Who is dead, by the way.
good point. Which is funny. Like, is the county named after him as well? Or it's not a county.
Yeah. The little town, whatever.
Yeah.
I guess it's Hershey.
Yeah. So yeah, there's also the Milton Hershey School, which is there.
Yeah.
And then yeah, it's Hershey, and then they have Hershey's Chocolate World. They have, which is like more about how they actually make everything, and there's like cool interactive stuff.
And like
And
a
then there's-
massive gift shop.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then there's like Hershey Park, which is like the full theme park.
Mhm.
Got amusement park rides and whatnot.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
I saw in the paper that they added a new ride called the Twizzler.
Oh.
And it's getting like really good reviews, I guess.
Cool.
I don't know who gives roller coaster reviews, but I
People do
love
it.
that they are branding with all of their different candies.
Yeah.
Because I think they have one called the Jolly Ranchers last time I was there. And then they have like the Hershey Kiss Tower, the Reese's Tower,
Right.
like the Drop Towers. So I think like it's smart. I think back in the day there was probably just like a catalog you could buy from. It's like, oh, we want to buy the Lightning Racers, or
Yeah.
we want to buy the Wildcat, or like the Mousetrap one.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's like, it's not. It's like, oh, it's just weird that Hershey's chocolate has an amusement park. But now that they're like branding it like with their own branding, I think that's really cool.
It's very smart.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very cool. I think I haven't been to Hershey Park in a long time. When was the last time you were there, do you think?
I think last year or 2 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's been many years for me. My summers mostly consist of working at camp. And I think I mean, I obviously totally could like make time for it, but it's just like a lot of energy.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's probably been 4 or 5 years since I've been there,
Yeah.
which is a little sad because it was a big part of my childhood. Like we would go every year. with
And
our
they add like a
family.
new ride every year,
Yeah.
at least now. So
I'm sure
that's
it looks
awesome.
completely different.
Yeah, the whole entrance.
Oh,
They like
yeah?
moved it up
Oh.
to like you can see Chocolate World and the entrance like at the same spot now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's cool. I know they have a zoo there too.
Yeah, Zoo America.
Yeah, which we talked about
We did.
last time.
Yeah.
But yeah, going back to the other topic.
Yeah, off topic.
Yeah, that was a long tangent.
Geometry term, because it's when like a line would like intersect just a point on like a curve.
Right.
So it makes a lot of sense that like, oh, we were on this like, straight line talking about what we should have been talking about, and then this curving thought like touched us and like took us off route.
Yeah.
There
There you go.
So it makes a lot of sense.
It does.
I don't think I've ever thought about that until you said that.
Yeah.
And I can't guarantee that's where it comes from,
Yeah.
but it would make a lot of sense.
Well, I remember like learning about it in school and being like, "This is a tangent. This is what a tangent is," and you're like, "Oh, that's why that's called a tangent."
Yeah.
And then like, yeah,
Right.
which is cool.
Well, then
But-
there's the other tangent, which I'm like, I don't know. I'm dating myself.
Uh-oh.
Been graduated for too long.
Right.
Well, it's like, what is it? Sine over cosine equals
Bro.
tangent.
Couldn't
That's
tell
for
you.
like finding like the, I don't know, the mystery degrees. You know what I mean? That's
Right.
just like full on geometry class.
Right. Yeah. Which
Doing
I've been out of
proofs
school
and-
so
yeah.
long now, and especially like I took a math class my junior year, didn't take one senior year, so I haven't done organized math in like
Yeah.
a long time.
I just remember like getting math memes back in high school. I don't know if my teacher like had posted one or something like that, but it's like, oh, happy summer, be sure to get your tan on. And it would be like somebody like in marker on their like skin writing like, you know, sine over cosine
Yeah.
because that equals
Tan.
tangent. Tan. Yeah.
Very funny. Kind of. Not really funny.
Cringy. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely less funny than the Kermit jokes.
Right.
But
Well, brings us to the school system, which is the point that we wanted to talk about.
yeah, being out of school for a while.
Yes, graduating. When you graduated from high school, how prepared did you feel for the world? Now that you're in the world for 5-6 years, how?
But
do you
not
feel
of the
like-
world.
Yes. How do you feel high school has prepared you for?
Yeah. I like I said, I was a previous student of the quarter. So I was a little bit nerdy.
Yeah.
And like more quiet. So I loved kind of digging into a book. I loved math. I loved some of the science courses. So I mean, in terms of preparing me for different things, like I think I took advantage of. I also went to a bigger school, so there was a lot of like electives and a lot of like different paths you could go down. They even had technical schools and stuff, which I think the people that chose the technical schools, like welding and like, carpentry, whatever, I think those people probably felt pretty well equipped. I went, more of the math route, the math, the sciences, got up into calculus. But yeah, I think like schools like high schools will get a bad rap being like, well, they didn't teach me how to pay my taxes and they didn't teach me to do this and that. And they don't teach you how to invest in your 401k.
Mm-hmm.
But I also don't think that's the point of high school.
Yeah.
And I think obviously it is a challenge to become financially literate and to like, there are so many things that you have to do. And since high school, I have gotten married, bought a house, started a small business, had a couple different jobs. I do my own taxes. And it's kind of something you learn as you go.
Yeah.
And like, even just like remembering to like pay your utility bills and things, it's a lot of just stuff to remember, and it can clutter very quickly and become overwhelming. And I think what high schools are trying to do is create people that are well equipped for handling different challenges and tasks. Because I feel like I heard another speaker talk on this and be like, doing AP Advanced Biology 3, you know what I mean? If you're not going into biology, like what would be the point of that? And it's like, but doing like a really hard class and persevering and getting through it, gives you the confidence that you can go and do other things. For me, I think, I had some of that as well. I think I also was blessed with good parents that could encourage that. But I also took a gap year, which is now a prolonged gap year, but like a year where I didn't work and I didn't go to school, and did some traveling and did a kind of a different type of school in Central America, and just got to learn Spanish and experience different cultures. And I think that more than anything was like, high school did a good job of kind of preparing me for that mentality. And then that gap year did a good job of exposing me to the world and me becoming my own person. And then now, just, each new step of growing more mature.
Yeah. Yeah. I think for me, like, I was not very interested academically, in academics in high school. I was purely in the music department, and I put like pretty much all my time into that kind of stuff. I never really had intentions of like going to college out of high school, and so like the like actual classes and stuff didn't really interest me all that much. I did pretty well in classes and stuff like that without applying myself. So I think if I did, I like would have done better and like probably could have gone to college or whatnot. And I still can. Like I certainly like have used a lot of the stuff that I learned in high school. Now, like my role at camp has been very like in leadership the past 4 years, and I like it's interesting because I'm leading in a very similar way that I led in like some of the extracurricular activities that I was a part of and stuff like that. And like having to like make decisions and stuff is like something that I'm like on the fly, and like being flexible and stuff like that is something that I'm better at now because of the stuff that I did in high school and stuff like that. And I was just like thinking about it today because we were at camp and like deciding how much I want to say. But there's somebody who, yeah, I'm going to cut that a little bit.
You have to do the editing.
Yeah, so. I know. I feel like there's people can come out of high school who like have a lot of like knowledge and head knowledge and stuff like that. But when it comes to like actually doing stuff in life, can like be not as well equipped to do so. Like not even like I'm not even talking about like taxes or like that kind of stuff that like people like reference a lot, but like actually applying their knowledge. Like today I was helping somebody out who I know is a very, very smart individual. They know a lot of facts about like this one thing, but like they were struggling to put it to paper or like being able to like teach a class on it because, I don't know why exactly, but like I think that just comes with experience from life rather than like experience you get out of school. And like again, like you're saying, that's maybe not the point of school. The point is to like get that knowledge, which they definitely have, this person. So I don't think that that's like a knock on this person at all either, though, because there's also something I've been talking about recently called the working geniuses, which is like if you're more of a like wanderer or like inventor, which is like people who think about like concepts or like topics and like get new ideas for things to do, who like if that's like what you're strong at, that's great. Or you could be like somebody who's more geared towards being like a galvanizer or a discerner, or like somebody who like sees an idea and is really good at like seeing if it'll work or not, or like seeing how it's going to play out. Or then a galvanizer would be somebody who can really like get an idea from the planning stage and get people around it and get people behind it and like get them. Like if you're getting a group of people to do something, a galvanizer is somebody who's really good at doing that. And then like somebody who has a lot of tenacity or a very tenacious person is somebody who can like see something all the way to the end. So like this individual that I'm talking about is more of a like wanderer, inventor, but is not quite as good as communicating those ideas to people because they're not as much of a galvanizer. And so, like, I personally took this like text and found myself as more of a discerner and like figuring out how like to convey things across. And so together we were able to come up with a really good like lesson plan because she had the knowledge, I had like helped them get it to the next step, which is great. And so like, yeah, I found that to be very helpful in my leadership is like making quick decisions and stuff like that. And that's all skills that I was honing as in high school and stuff like that. So while on one hand, I don't feel like I have a whole lot of knowledge, like head knowledge, because I didn't apply myself in that way in high school, I do have other skills that I learned in high school that or that I honed in high school that have helped me now.
Yeah.
So
I would say too, I was surprised. I thought you were going to say you were a galvanizer, getting people on board and like getting people rallied.
well, you have two working geniuses.
Okay.
So it's discernment and galvanizing is my two. So
Nice.
Yeah.
I took something, it was like strength finders.
And we
similar.
had, this was a abbreviated test. That's what I got from the abbreviated test. I could spend $25 into the full test that takes hours.
Heck no.
I'm good. Yeah.
I am somewhat pessimistic about these tests where it's like,
Right. Exactly.
let me know myself.
Yeah.
It's like, I think I am smart enough to see what the question is really asking.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's like, if a friend asks you for help, what do you do? Say yes, absolutely. Say, maybe another time.
Yeah.
Say, no, I'm sorry, I'm not free right now.
Right.
Say, never, loser.
Yeah.
Like, you can kind of pick who you want to be.
Right. Exactly.
And I'm like...
Same with like the introvert extrovert tests. Like
Yeah.
if somebody asks you to go out, will you say, yes, I want to, or no, I don't?
Yeah.
I think I'm an extrovert. So yes, I'll say, yes, I want to go out, you know?
And then it's really funny
Right.
for you to give all of the information, to say, I'm this, 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 and this.
Yeah.
And then it says, you are this, this, and this, and this. And you'd be like, oh, that's
no
so
way.
mean!
That's crazy.
They know me so well.
Right, exactly.
And the other thing is they always make the descriptions vague enough that it'll describe like 80% of people.
Right.
So it's like, you know, if you are an extreme introvert and it lists you as an extreme extrovert, then it's like, okay, maybe that's a little wrong. But it always gives these vague categories, you know, like galvanizer, this or that. We all have all three,
elements of
you
those.
know.
Yeah, exactly. And like things that we do, like I have evidence of myself being a discerner and evidence of myself being a galvanizer. So like it makes sense to me that like that's what I ended up getting. And or like I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say about this. It like I see myself as those things because that's what people have told me and I have evidence of that in like things that I've done in my life. So that's what makes sense to me. But like so like you're saying, like I got those answers from like that's discerner and galvanizer is what I got from that test. But I was kind of seeing like in the questions like what was what, and then I could like be like, okay, well I've done this in the past, so I'm gonna do this. I don't know.
Yeah.
Those tests are very silly.
Yeah. No, I don't really.
They're partly silly, but they're also like sometimes they can be good and
they can be helpful for people to as encouragement or to call upon like their own giftings that they already have.
And they're very helpful in communicating with others. Like if you find somebody who's not as gifted in like the things that you're working in, you're like, oh man, why am I having a hard time working with this guy? If you think about it in that lens, it helps you to think about that and think about ways that you can work with this person differently, which is nice.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, we took a similar one when I was a part of like some group internship to be like, how are we going to work together and this and that. And it had 30 different traits. It was called Strength Finders, I think. And my number one trait was ideation, coming up with ideas.
Yeah.
So, and like, I'm sure some of my low ones were like, you know, actually bringing that out. And I think that's the blessing about like marriage and other things,
right?
Is like you can have one person that's really good at like bringing an idea and one person that's better at like stewarding that and carrying it out.
Yeah.
But no, it's funny. I was thinking like at like the cafe,
Mm-hmm.
it's rough because I have so many ideas all the time for things to do, but it's like I just can't get to them. So it's a little frustrating sometimes.
Yeah.
And also because I'm not the best at carrying it out, I have to like force myself to be better at that.
Right.
So one of the ways I'll do that, and it's so bad, like I'm like, if I put it on the menu,
Yeah.
then I like have to have it.
Right.
So I'll figure out how to make it work. I've
Yeah.
done that for probably all the food items.
Oh, yeah.
Most recently was like avocado toast. Like we added a month or two back, and like I was like, I don't exactly know what I'm going to put on here. I have an idea and like this and that, but I'm like, people have been asking for that genre of food. And I was like, so I'm going to throw it on there, and then like people are going to start asking for it, and then like I can't have disappointed customers, so
Right.
I got to figure it out.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, and that's another thing about it too, is like it's not this thing isn't necessarily saying that you can't do these things.
Yeah.
It's saying that you're a genius when it comes to ideas,
Right.
but you get frustrated when you have to be tenacious and take something to the end.
Mhm.
And so like it might take somebody who's tenacious a lot less effort to get something to the end, but it might take them a whole lot of effort to come up with the idea for avocado toast
Right.
in this example.
Yeah. That's fair. I guess you are really carrying the podcast in terms of like setup and actual logistics.
Yeah.
So all I did was have the idea in an Applebee's.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's funny.
I mean, it makes sense. That's how it's working out.
Yeah.
So yeah. But yeah, what was the next point we were going to talk about from?
Oh, you were saying, do you
Oh,
think
yeah.
there has been a very influential season of your life, or
Yeah.
like, you know, a portion of years
Yeah,
that
what-
has
What span of
Yeah.
4 years it has been the most turbulent? Like you look, like after that span of 4 years, looking back, you were, or how different of a person that you've become. Like you look like when you're 21 and you look back at when you were 18 or 17, whenever, how different you were back then compared to then. I think, like, for me personally, like, I think when you're 18 and you look back at when you graduate high school and you look back at when you get into high school, you're like, man, I was such a different person back then. And a lot of that is just maturity and stuff like that. Whereas, like, I think 18 to, like, 21, 22 is when you're, like, kind of starting to figure out who you are. And you're like really making decisions about like where your faith lies, what you believe, what where your faith lies, what you believe, like what your values are and stuff like that. And you're making those decisions based on like your youth and like foundations that you've been building throughout then. And so, but then like maybe 22 to 24, 25, maybe you as a person stay pretty similar, but things around you change a whole lot. I was talking about this with our friend Adam, who recently moved to Nigeria. We've been sending audio messages back and forth, and I was talking about this, and like I thought like when I turned 21, I looked back at how I was when I was 18. I was like, man, I changed so much. Like I remember myself thinking that when I was 21, and now that I'm 23, I'm like thinking about when I was 21, and like, man, I'm much different than I was then. And I was like, how do you feel? He's 28 or 29, I think. And I was like, do you feel that way, this similar as well? He's like, yeah, I think what he said, I'm going to try and, to some effect, was he thinks that like 18 to 21, 22, 23 area is like where he like solidified himself a lot of like what he believes, his faith, that kind of thing. But like as far as actually changing as a person, like these last 4 years, 28 or 24 to 28, he's had 2 kids. He's gotten married. He's now living in a completely foreign country. Like, that is obvious, much more change. But he's like maybe not changed quite as much as an individual, or maybe he has changed, but again, yeah. What do you got?
Right. I wonder if it has to do with like the actual like physical development. Like, you know, our brains are fully developed when we're 25. Mm-hmm. That's why you have to pay the young driver's fee,
right?
You know, when you're renting a car.
Yeah.
Which is crazy when you're, you know, under 25.
Right.
So maybe that's a part, you know, but also it is the most pivotal years after high school when you become, you know, 18. Mm-hmm. I do think that's so true. You kind of you're no longer, you know, underneath like your parents, you know what I mean? You don't just believe what your parents believe. You don't just do what your parents do.
Caveating all of this with, we are both still, I'm 23, you're 24?
20.
I don't even know how old you are.
Yeah, I think I'm 23.
Okay. Are you 23?
Yeah. Yeah.
I know you were a grade above me in high school, but because you graduated 2019, right?
I was born in 2001.
Okay. I was born 2002.
Okay. So I'm 24?
When was your birthday?
In March.
Oh, right. We have March birthdays. You should be 24 then.
Oh, yeah. I'm 24. I'm old enough to not remember my age. I feel like I've been doing that a lot. Yeah, I'm totally 24.
You're totally 24.
Yeah.
But anywho.
Yeah.
We're 23 and 24. We're going to have different opinions of this when we're 30.
Yeah.
And if you're listening to this and you're older than that, you're like, man, these guys don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
But it's fine.
No, I don't think we know much about life. But again, I think there's a lot of you're shielded from a lot.
Right.
We talked about even just the responsibilities of things that you need to do.
Yeah.
You're shielded from all of that when you're young. So you grow. I think right now I've been growing exponentially in just who I am, which is just, it is crazy. And I'm like, yeah, I would say the last 4 years have been the most turbulent for me.
Yeah, for sure for me too, yeah. Right.
I mean, I mentioned it before, but just like with all of the different life changes. But I wonder if I'll just keep thinking that. Because life, I feel like I keep thinking, all right, well, when we get to this point, life slows down a bit. When we get to this point, life slows down a bit. And it keeps getting faster.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's where I position myself or if that's a common trend. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, you know, you get married and then, you know, you have kids and, like, that keeps you super busy. So...
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah.
I mean... At a certain point, you're going to slow down because you physically can't move as fast as you used to.
I was talking the other day with somebody, and we were just thinking, we're like, it's kind of sad that people always look at their college days and our current time of their lives, and they look back and they say, you know, that's the best time of my life. And, like, bless you.
Thank you.
And, like... I think it's a very sad mindset to 100%. To say, like, oh, I'm past my prime. I'm past the best time of my life. My parents' group, prime time. That's what it's called. Prime time moments.
Got it.
Yeah.
Call back to the first episode.
Yeah, my wife was listening to it, and she was like, I wanted to, like, yell at the screen, being like, it's prime time.
It's prime time.
Yeah. But I think, like, part of their, like, motto is, like, the best is yet to come.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that's true. Yeah. I want to be, as I age, looking forward to the next season constantly. I think there's so many blessings in each season, and I'm like, I cannot wait to be doing crossword puzzles and hanging out with my grandkids. I think that's going to be awesome. And I hope I enjoy that season more than I enjoyed the season before that and before that. Like getting to see your kids grow up and have kids, that's going to be crazy. You know, if we're blessed to be able to do that. So
100%.
Yeah.
I think I feel that so hard. one of my favorite. I mean, my favorite character in any media is always the old wise guy: Gandalf, Yoda, Uncle Iroh, Master Oogway.
Yeah.
I could go on, and like I want to be one of those dudes eventually.
Mhm.
And yeah, I mean, yeah, I fully agree. I think that like life, moves quickly, and like especially in the time that we're in, because like we are such variable people. Like we have people who are everybody around us is in a similar time, and so life feels so crazy because it's crazy for a lot of us. And like, yeah, just like that. I mean, like you were saying, and yeah, I think as life slows down, as you get much older, yeah.
Well, I think too, when you're in school, not to say that college isn't a crazy time in your life. Again, we have not experienced this.
Right.
But I do think there is a security in knowing what's coming next,
Yeah.
at least for whether it's for 4 years or more. And that's why I think a lot of people, when they start a job, and we're still kind of in, life job transitioning.
Right.
So it's more turbulent. But once you start a job, you hear of people that have been there for 30, 40 years. And I think there's a little bit of security in that. And that's not a bad thing. But like when you are becoming your own person out of high school or out of college, and the world's your oyster, I think that is a very defining moment in somebody's life. By the way, another tangent. I was talking with some coworkers about the world's your oyster. And we're like, where does that come from? And we're also talking about how a lot of, it's kind of funny that a lot of words and phrases are like nautical. The world's your oyster. So we were talking with some employees, and it was like so interesting that there's a lot of phrases and terms that have a history of in like the nautical world of in boats, ships, things like that. One of the ones we were talking about was left high and dry. I think I mentioned this one to you off the podcast one time, but
Yep.
It's like that means being like marooned on a sandbar because the sand is high at that spot. It's dry. Your boat is stuck, so they left you high and dry. The world's your oyster. So we're like, oysters, it's got to be something ocean, nautical related, maybe.
Yeah. Because if we take a step back for
Yeah.
a moment and just look at it, the world is your oyster. What's cool about oysters?
Yeah. I know. I would love to, because we were really trying to figure out what does that mean? Like, because oysters can create pearls.
Sure.
So it's like, are they saying like you can take all the debris and like create a pearl inside of you, or
Yeah.
like you can? I feel like that's not what the phrase is used for.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because
Right.
the phrase means there's endless possibilities.
Right.
For you. So we were like, where does this come from? So we looked it up. We did not figure it out. It's from a Shakespeare play. I have no idea which one. I don't think it's one of the famous ones, like Hamlet or whatever.
Yeah.
But
Romeo and Juliet.
yeah, I don't think it's from like one of those. But it's basically the phrase originally when it's used was more like violent, and it like, I guess loosely to like to just paraphrase it, it's like the guy was saying like, anything is yours, like the world is your oyster and you can take it with the sword.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's like kind of funny. It was like basically saying like you can like pillage and just take anything you want.
Yeah.
And and then it kind of got more into a lighter, fluffier just over time of anything's open to you.
Yeah.
There's endless possibilities instead of you can take anything you want by the sword.
With force.
Yeah.
That's quite interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot of random stuff is from Shakespeare.
Yeah, but I'm like, where did he get that from?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Even that is like weird. Yeah.
I know.
I think it's just a classic instance where Shakespeare says whatever he wants and people are just like, wow,
right,
cool.
Because I feel like Shakespeare was the bad boy of his time.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he was like one of the only ones to get away with like throwing a little jab at like the king at the time.
Court jester.
Yep. Just be like, haha. And the king's like, oh, it's Shakespeare. He's funny.
Shakespeare. He can do what he wants.
And I was joking with somebody the other day being like, do you think there is people with like, like teen girls with like Shakespeare like posters in their room? It's Shakespeare.
Yeah, I think so for sure.
Right.
What wasn't he like? Didn't he end up? Oh, I'm thinking of Edgar Allan Poe, who like ended up dead on like the side of the road or whatever. How did Shakespeare die?
Didn't like Edgar Allan Poe? Didn't his like whole family died of tuberculosis? Right.
Yeah. Big time.
He didn't though. Right?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, big time. Edgar Allan Poe, who is dead.
Who is dead?
By the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is funny to think. I wonder who are the other like funny bad boys of their time.
Yeah. Well, how did Shakespeare die?
I have no idea.
Okay. Tune back into episode 4 to find out how.
Yeah, true. No, we can't even do it next episode.
Yeah. Well, we can look it up in between recordings.
Yeah, that's true. We I think Thomas Jefferson could have been a bad boy. He signed,
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of founding fathers were pretty.
Yeah.
I mean, Alexander Hamilton. He's got his own play.
You know who's a big bad boy?
Yeah.
Martin Luther
King.
No.
Jr.
Martin Luther, the guy.
Yeah. 99 Theses.
Yeah, 99 Theses.
Right on the door.
Boom, right on the door.
Wow.
People were like, "Yo!"
All the Protestants were like, "Oh!"
Martin Luther did it again. He did it again.
Yeah. And I feel like he was celibate?
Probably.
And that would make the girls want him even more.
Oh yeah, big time. I think we just uncovered the biggest bad boy of all time, Martin.
I don't know about that. I'll be thinking of more bad boys as we go.
Cool. Well, just to finish the thought on old people or getting old and life turbulence. Yeah, it's like I think us two for sure are going to be going into our old age expectant and maybe not expectant, but with joy. And like, that's cool. I appreciate that. And like, if only more people did. But because there definitely is like the fear of like death and getting old and whatnot. And
I don't know any old people that are average. You're either cranky and a little bit annoying,
right? Or
like you are the coolest person ever.
Boom.
And like I want you to be my best friend, but it's a little bit weird to do so.
Exactly. I'd much rather be a cool old person.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Gandalf.
Right. That's what we're striving towards.
Gandalf, yeah. So cool. Let's finish off the episode here with a story from each of us. Would you like to begin?
Yeah. We thought it'd be cool to do some stories. Next episode, we have a lot of stories lined up.
Yeah.
But I'll start with this. Let me start by saying, how would you spell Benny?
Benny. Benny.
Right. That's how I would spell it as well.
Okay.
So when I was young, I'm like, man, I was probably like 12 years old or something. And, I got my iPod Touch
Rocking.
And this and that, whatever. And I felt like I was very cool for my age.
Oh, yeah.
And part of it was that my parents listened to like what is oldies music to them, which is like to them, is like music they grew up on, or at least their parents listened to, like 70s, 80s.
Yeah.
So I'm still a big fan of 70s and 80s music.
Right there with you. I had the same experience.
Yeah, exactly. And I think a lot of our generation did because our parents passed it down to us, and like it's
Absolutely.
really good music, and I just, have a fondness of it.
On a separate point,
Yeah.
I was listening to Rosanna by Toto
Okay.
on the way over here because I got a Toto CD in my car.
Woo!
Whoo, doggy does that song slap. I got to get on the sticks on that one.
Going back to CDs is awesome as well.
Well, we can talk about that another time.
Yeah. So I was like into like some of this older music and stuff like that. And mind you, this is the era of there's no Spotify, Pandora. I mean, it might have existed, but like premium subscriptions weren't like very mainstream. I don't think they had worked out all the deals with the artists to get the music on their platform and however that works.
And you weren't getting one as a 12-year-old.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you would buy music off of the iTunes store, right? And like
100%.
that's a crazy thought nowadays.
Right.
So I feel like this story is even like almost more embarrassing now.
Yeah.
Because it's like now you can just look up songs on YouTube or wherever.
Yeah.
But we had a Elton John CD,
Mhm.
and I was getting into some Elton John. I was getting into Crocodile Rock. I was getting into I'm drawing a blank on a lot of those songs right now, but I loved Rocket Man.
Mhm.
I was a huge fan of Benny and the Jets.
Oh yeah.
And Benny.
Yeah.
And so as a kid, I was like, I'm going to purchase this song. I got a little iTunes gift card. I'm going to get a little iTunes money, whatever.
Yeah.
So I type in BENNY in the Jets. And I'm like, and here's the thing. I didn't know artists that well. I still don't. I can know all the words to like an old 80s song and be like, I have no clue who that's by.
Yeah.
Just because like I heard the music played, but I didn't like associate that with an artist or a person. So I didn't know Elton John wrote this song at the time. So I'm searching up Benny and the Jets, and I'm listening to like the 5-second previews,
Yeah.
and the real song is spelled BENNIE in the Jets
Okay.
by Elton John.
Yeah.
So all of the Benny with a Y Jets are like the real song's not coming up. So I'm listening to songs, I'm like a little bit confused.
Yeah.
And I find one and it sounds pretty similar to the song that I knew. So I purchased it for like, the $1.29 or whatever it is.
99 cents, whatever.
Yeah. And I was like, yeah. And I like started listening to it and I was like, it sounds off. It sounds off. And I'm like, again, we talked about last episode, I'm pretty frugal too.
Yeah, yeah.
So I then found out from my brother that the song was by Elton John.
Mm-hmm.
So I looked it up on the iTunes store, and it was indeed spelled with an IE, and like my heart sank, and I was like, dang it, I just wasted. So then I bought that song as well, because I'm like, I'm not listening to this crappy cover song the whole time who doesn't even know how to spell Benny, but I don't either.
Right.
And so I bought both songs, and then and I was like, I'm just gonna like try to hide or delete the other song and whatever. It was like so embarrassing for me. I didn't tell anyone. I don't think like my family still doesn't know. Not that it matters now. But I remember like when you back up your phone or get a new phone, like it would come pre-downloaded with the music you had bought.
Yep.
So whenever we would get a new phone, like I remember specifically one time my brother is like listening to music and he's like, why in the world does this crappy version of Benny and the Jets always play before the real or after, whichever one? I guess it would be after.
Yeah.
The real version of Benny and the Jets. And I'm like, I don't know, that's crazy. It must have just like come with the phone.
Yeah.
And like was just so embarrassed that I
really
wasted my hard-earned iTunes gift card
Yeah.
on a phony song.
Yeah.
And shame on that person for swindling me, a young,
Not super informed 70s knowledge guy.
Right. Ill-informed
80s,
Elton
whatever.
John fan. Come on.
Yeah. Unfortunate. That's a rough.
Yeah.
I have a funny story similar to that. I think we got a little bit of time.
Yeah.
Just talking about iTunes gift cards because you'd have to get a gift card to put it on your iTunes,
Right.
and then you would download songs from that. And I remember like you would do the same. Like if you wanted to buy a game on your phone, or you wanted to buy something in a game, which I hardly ever did.
Yeah.
And I think the one time was like buying Minecraft Pocket Edition, pretty classic.
Yeah, like $8. That was a huge deal. I did that
Easy.
too. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so if I wanted to buy a song though, I had to clear it with my mom first. And so there was a time where I wanted to buy Tonight by Black Eyed Peas, or it's like
the Tonight, Red Hot Chili Peppers, or no?
No, it was Black Eyed Peas. It was the one that they're like, we're gonna go all night or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not. Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about, but not off the top of my head.
It's not coming to me. It's like, it's not tonight, party on the top.
No,
not that one.
Yeah.
It's the, give me 1 second.
Yoshi, pull it up.
Yoshi.
No, we don't have Yoshi today.
Yeah,
so
Yoshi's not here.
no producers.
It's not. I got a feeling.
Oh,
I
yeah,
got
yeah.
a feeling. Ooh. Because I was thinking tonight's gonna be a good night.
Yeah.
I had heard that song at like a school event.
Yeah.
And was like,
Great song.
this song's awesome. I got to get this song.
Yeah.
Mom's like, okay, let's pull up the lyrics. Pulls up the lyrics. Something about going all night. We're gonna get lit or something like that.
Yeah.
I was like, she's like, what do you mean by this? If you want to buy this song, and I was like, I don't know, crap. And
Yeah.
fine, I don't want it. I don't want it anymore. And like, didn't get the song because my mom did that.
Yeah. I know. I feel like I've had so many scenarios like that.
Yes.
Like Flo Rida, Whistle.
Yeah.
I think that blew my mind.
Yeah.
Because like we were young, you hear that song on the local radio station,
Catchy.
and you're like bumping with it, and then like you play it when your parents are in the car, and they're like, "What is this?" Because they're listening to the lyrics.
Right. And as a kid, you're not really.
No, yeah, you're just bumping along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this went on for a long time. Me having to clear it with my mom, which is good. I think that's great.
Yeah.
That she did that. Maybe she could have been a little bit more lenient. I don't know. Doesn't matter. One of the songs I did get was there was a Taylor Swift song that I got for some reason, which is so funny.
That's awesome. Yeah, that aged well. You know?
Well, it's funny because like I would have been really embarrassed though about like getting it.
Yeah.
I think it was the one where it's like, I knew you were trouble when you walked in.
Yeah. Trouble.
And it's like the only Taylor Swift song that I'm like, I don't know. That one spoke to me for some reason.
Yeah.
I think it was that one. And maybe it was because I kind of think we sung in elementary school chorus or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway,
Valid.
As we went on, eventually I was like, they were like, oh, you don't have to ask us anymore. Or like, I was just like, hey, can I get the Guardians of the Galaxy like thing? And they were like, oh yeah, we let you watch that movie, sure.
Mm-hmm.
And so we got I got the album, the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 album. Great classic rock album.
Yeah, all of the movie soundtracks are so good.
Yeah, and I have them all on CD now, which is great. And so one of the songs in there is Cherry Bomb, which is a good song, but in the bridge, they're doing a whole bunch of like weird sex noises, and it's weird for like a minute.
Yeah.
And so we hop in the car one day. I'm like, yo, Mom, let me on aux. I got this new playlist. They're like, great. And I'm like scrolling through it, like choosing the ones, and I'm like playing them. And my sister's sitting next to me, and she sees Cherry Bomb, and she's like, you should play Cherry Bomb. And I'm like, no, I was like, no, I don't want to do that one. And she's like, no, do it. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that one, because I knew what was in the song. And I was like, I don't want to do this in front of my parents. And my parents were like, just play the song. Like, what's the problem? Like, if she wants to play a song, just play a song. I'm like, I don't want to. And they're like, play it. I'm like, okay, fine. So I play the song. And I sit and wait because it's like midway through the song.
Yeah.
And I'm like, crap, I know it's coming. Crap.
Right.
Sure enough, here come the sounds I don't like. I don't understand because I'm like not very old at this point either. But I know it's bad. And, well, I guess I was probably like 14, so I would have, well, whatever. And my parents were like, what is going on? And I was like, this is why I didn't want to play the song. Boo! And it was just,
You made me play it.
yeah, you made me play it. It's her fault, not mine. Like, I just got the song. I don't even listen to the song. I don't like this song. I got it because it's part of the whole album. I had to buy the whole album.
Yeah.
Like, I can't just buy each song that I like individually. It would have been more expensive if I just didn't buy the whole album. And yeah, I was
That's funny.
firing up all these reasons, and they were like, just turn it off. And I was like, fine. I was like, I don't want the aux anymore. It was, yeah. So that was a terrible moment. Sam, I'm still mad at you for that if you're listening. No, I'm not. It's funny now, but yeah. Okay, that's not the story I wanted to tell. I'll tell this one relatively quick. So this camp that I work at now, I went to as a camper all the way since I could, and I went with a friend for a while who didn't want to go to overnight camp, so I didn't spend as much time in overnight camp as I could have, but I did for like the last 5 years of my camper experience. And in the final summer of my camper experience, I was in a cabin group with our friend Asher, our friend Josh, and another fella named Dylan who was on staff for a little while. And it was kind of crazy because like Asher and Josh came together, and I knew Asher a teeny bit from high school, but like I didn't know like the relationship that I would have with them now back then. And like same with Dylan, like that was my first time ever meeting him, and then we went on to have like a long friendship from working in camp together. And it was just kind of insane that we all ended up in a group together. I mean, it's not that insane because like it makes sense that if you're friends with the people that you work with, those people would also have gone to the camp. But it's just cool that we all ended up in the same cabin group. I was 14, they were both 15, and we had this counselor named Nate who was known for on camp for not being like the most safe counselor, and we had to multiple times, like he was just quite the character. He would be like, oh, I saw this video once of like somebody like putting a match out like in their mouth, and if you just do this it'll just work, and I've never done it before, but I'm gonna try it. And we're like, don't do that. Like we as the campers were trying to like talk Nate down for doing something crazy.
You're counseling the counselor. That's funny.
Yeah, it was very funny, and
thrust into a leadership position at a young age. Out of necessity.
And so it was just very funny. That whole week was like pretty cool, and like we still remember it. And one of the memories that I have from this week is it was nighttime. We were all getting like ready to go to bed, and like either ready to go to bed or like getting into bed. And Nate went outside to brush his teeth. It was dark in the cabin. Either our oil lamp wasn't working or he had a shadow in front of it. Whatever, doesn't matter. He goes outside to brush his teeth, and all of a sudden we hear, ew, and
we're like, Nate, what happened? What's going on? He's like, I'm brushing my teeth with my mom's butt cream. And we're like, what? And he's like, I must have got it mixed up with my toothpaste. My mom gave me this butt cream so that I wouldn't be chafing. And I accidentally grabbed it instead of my toothpaste. And then I just put it in my mouth. And we're like,
that's nasty.
Obviously 14 or 15-year-old us thought that was hilarious. And I still think it's hilarious. And it's just insane to me, like, this guy is just such a character, and then he goes and brushes his teeth with his mom's butt cream, and calling it that is just ridiculous.
When you said my mom's butt cream, I was thinking it was for his mom, and that was would have been wild.
Right. But calling that out in front of like 5 teens, going, I brush my teeth on my mom's butt cream, is bold.
Right.
Yeah.
it's an honest mistake. I mean,
Yeah,
they make these like prescription things in a similar tubes to toothpaste. And I don't know if that's on the toothpaste industry or on the medicine industry, but somebody is
Somewhere along
trying
the
to get
line.
people to use butt cream
Yeah.
in the mouth.
Somebody signed off on that and was like, I bet this is gonna happen. At some
Yeah.
point.
Like,
They'll never get to see the fruit of that. None of that's how you call this.
right.
But they'll know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like, what, you think it's for like a rash or something?
It might have been that. I was
Okay.
thinking it's either for a rash that he had or that she had and then he started to have one and she was like, oh, just use this. Or it was like, it was chafing type stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Because I was like, what is the consistency? And
Yeah.
like, because a lot of these things it's harmful to ingest. So
Right.
dangerous potentially.
Yeah. I think he knew it as soon as he like put it on his tongue and
Yeah,
did
yeah.
these, right? And he's like, and then probably water right away.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I confirmed this with Asher then, because I told this story to because I don't know how it like dawned on me again like this week, but I forget how it like came up, but I remembered it again for the first time like this week while I was in the cabin with some guys at Leadership Week, and I like told this story and I was like, am I making this up? This feels ridiculous, and I like. Quick sent an audio message to Ashley, hey, can you confirm the story? He's like, yes, that happened. And I was like, okay, good. Because, yeah, that seems like it, like, I don't know.
Right, yeah. It could have been somebody just making a joke and
Right.
then like everyone just like, you just start to believe it
Yeah.
after time.
Yeah. But no, that happened.
Yeah.
I think we should confirm with Josh yet at some point. But
Right.
yeah, super funny.
Yeah. That'd be funny. We just call and be like, hey, you remember the butt cream?
Yeah. Yeah, that would be funny.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
That might be as good a spot as any
I think so.
to end this episode.
Wrap up episode 3
Yeah.
of the Braden and Nolan podcast. Maybe
We
we'll have it
appreciate
by
you
some other
guys.
name by the next recording session. And
Yeah.
yeah, love you. Thanks for watching.
Of course.
Don't forget to leave a comment below on all your opinions on everything.
Right.
And we love you. And we'll catch you next time. Peace. Oh, that worked.